Hi, everyone. You can see me down in the bottom of the screen over on the left. The three of us are kind of small, but we had a little technical problem we can't figure out. Nancy and I were able to open our restore programs and show it on the screen, but Rick couldn't. So he has it open now, and we are going to stay small until he's done. So I'm Maureen Taylor, the photo detective. Thank you so much for joining me for the very first Ask the Experts. The two up today are MemoryWeb and VividPix. If you have something you would like me to talk about or someone you would like to have featured on another Ask the Experts, put it in the chat or send me an email at photodetective@maureentaylor.com. My assistant, Kayla, is in the background in the chat monitoring it for us. Rick, don't open anything else.
Don't touch.
Don't touch a thing. And I'm joined today with Nancy Desmond of MemoryWeb and Rick Voight of Vivid-Pix. And this is your opportunity to, and yet you're touching things. And this is your opportunity to ask them a lot of questions about their products. Maybe you own Vivid-Pix, maybe you own MemoryWeb or use MemoryWeb, but I guarantee you that there are things that these programs do that you are not using. And that's the point, is to show you. And then I have a special offer for all of you at the end. I hope everyone is good. We had a ton of snow here. Hopefully you can't hear the snow blowers and plows in the background. And Rick is down in South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina.
And Nancy's out in Chicago, and I'm in Providence, Rhode Island. Thank you for sharing where you're from. We are going to jump right in and have Rick present for about 20 minutes, and then Nancy present for about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to hop on and just tell you a little bit about the special offer that we have for all of you for attending. Down at the bottom of the screen, you will see a bar. And in the bar, it has an Ask the Question tab. You can click that at any time. And there's no movement yet. There's no movement at the bottom left of the screen. Ask a question, and you can vote on the questions. Right now, we have 18 questions in the hopper for Nancy and for Rick. And you want a question for me, pop it in there as well. That's what we're here for, to answer your questions, whether you use the software or are just interested in it all. Okay, so Kayla's going to be managing whatever technical issues there are over in the chat for individuals. Rick, I am going to turn this over to you. I did not do your bios, so maybe you could just jump in and tell us a little bit about yourself. And then Nancy, when it's your turn, tell us a little bit about yourself and MemoryWeb. And anyway, thank you all for joining us today. We have 292 live people at the moment.
Are you looking at my screen right now and looking at a picture says 1,000 words?
Yes, we are. And it's a good thing.
Because I didn't listen well.
Because you were panicking over there.
Hi, everyone. It is not snowing in Charleston, South Carolina, but it rarely does. I don't know if it does. So a little bit about me. I've literally been in the photo business my entire adult life. A bunch of years at Kodak, a bunch of years at HP, and Vivid-Pix. We've been in business for 8 years. My business partner and I, Randy, formed Vivid-Pix, and I like calling Randy the smart one because he is. He holds over 150 patents in color and image science. And I'm a business guy, and we decided to form this company because we've known each other for a couple of decades. So Vivid-Pix. We started off improving underwater photos. Our land and sea scuba product has sold in 116 countries, and this is an example of underwater. Market asked, does it work topside? Does it work on land? So we created an algorithm to improve topside or land pictures. Then folks said, have you ever thought about old photos? And so we created Restore. And then in the genealogy family history community, people said, what about documents? That's really important to us. So we created an algorithm for that as well. This slide, these two pictures sum it up for me on what we do. So we're striving to be able to share memories of people that were before us, and oftentimes those are in photographs, and we want to learn about them for ourselves, and we want to share those with future generations. And our research that we do in creating our family tree, our roots, is often in documents. So this is the work that we all do with documents. So what we do as a company is we bring treasured memories back to life. And we've created software that is super easy. We hold 2 patents. By utilizing the technology within those patents, we literally make it a one-click fix with easy controls to bring your memories back to life, whether it be a photograph or a document. So simply select images. I'll give you a full demonstration in a moment. Pick which of the 9 images look best to you. The software feels the center image is best, but we ring it with greater contrast lightness, greater contrast, less light in the bottom left, and then less contrast, more light in the top right. And literally, this is a one-click fix. I will show you this photograph in a moment. So we fix color, black and white, and sepia. When Maureen and I first started to get to know each other, she said, well, what about tintypes? And what about Daguerre types? And so we fixed those as well. And of course, records, letters, and documents. The market also spoke and said metadata. And this is why we're a really cool match in working with MemoryWeb. There are some things we do. There are other things that MemoryWeb does more and better. And it's makes it a great partnership, i.e. Desiring both products. So similarly, you select an image, you can see the better image. We are able to integrate transcribing information directly into the metadata of your files, and then we save information down into the file as well. So we work with all types of different images: JPEGs, TIFFs, PNGs, DNGs, BMPs, RAW files from different cameras. So we're a lot more than just trying to fix a pic. We're trying to be easy to use image correction across a wide range of types. So quick software demonstration. This was actually one of our customer images, and I love sharing that. Let me bring Restore up. And are you seeing this screen?
Yes.
I love it. Okay.
Don't we love it?
So I pulled up a few images in order to be able to show you a few different things. So first off, photographs. So this is a current digital image. So I'm going to turn on my digital or cell phone image improvement algorithm. We can fix faded, badly faded prints and slides, your digital images, as well as your documents. Down here at the bottom, some folks wanted to be able to use our metadata input capability and not to image correct. So we created that path as well. So literally with one click, I've been able to take this digital photograph and all the underexposure, all that image, all that data of the image was actually in the file, and we're able to bring that out. So we actually are able to see the red, green, blue of a photograph, and or the contrast of a document, and or the contrast within an image, a photograph, and we're able to push in all of that different color to create a new file in order to be able to make it come to life. So if you're happy with your pick, simply hit Save Next. So Maureen put me to task and she said, Rick, I want you to be able to show some of the tips and tricks that you know that other people may not know. So this is an old document and I selected the middle image and we've improved the image, but we released in September the ability to do something called crop recalculate. So the stamp up in the top left or top right is, let's say it's important, or the text or the postage stamp. So I'm going to look at the stamp. I crop the area and I simply click recalculate cropped image. And then I accept that. So when we do an original image correction, we're looking at the entire image file and we're fixing it based on all that information. And you know how sometimes you can have a scan that has a lot of white area and the photograph is over to the side or the document's over to the side? Well, that confuses software. So by having this crop recalculate, you're able to choose the most important area. And if you're happy with your pick, save next. So documents. So this is a 1940 census record of mine. And it's a good example of more contrast, less light in the bottom left, and less contrast, more light in the top right. And I go back and forth between whether I prefer this middle one or the one above it. So I'm going to start with the middle one. And it is desirous. It looks a whole lot better, but desirous to go into the detail edit to play with it a little bit more. And simply by cropping into the area that's important to me, I'm going to click and hold on the mouse left, release, drag to the area on the right. And now again, I can read this so much better for so many different things. For instance, I want to be able to view, edit current metadata within the file. So show all metadata values. And then I'm able to add additional information. And I won't go through the time it takes to properly type it. So I'm just adding information. And creating image tags that I'm able to search. And then if I wanted to copyright it, and it's an important image to me, so I'm going to rate it a 5. So just that easily, I'm inputting information into the metadata file. So we're putting it right into the image file so that way, if you move it around from computer to computer, you send it to somebody else, all that information is retained within the image file. Now, let's say that I'm now able to read this document better, and I want to be able to transcribe more of this information into my metadata. So at this point, the information I had previously put in of CCC is there, and I can put in more information as well, and I can then save that as well. Now, all of that information is being saved down into the fixed image file. Important point there is oftentimes our images, let's say it's a file name 123 JPEG or 123 TIFF. And with some software programs, you're needing to make a duplicate copy of that before you start image improving because you don't want to lose your original scan. Or we automatically add Vivid to the file name. So 123 JPEG becomes 123 Vivid JPEG. And then let's say from an organization standpoint, this is my Voight roots. So this was Irwin, my grandfather, and my middle name. Ironically, in a lot of the history things, it's an I instead of an E. Well, guess what? It's an E, but that census went wrong. Elizabeth, my grandma, my dad, and my uncle. So I can now drop this fixed image into the Voight output folder for organization, and that can be based on an event or your research or any number of things. So pictures are important, and this is a digital file. So I'm able to pull up my current image. And this is one that I want to tweak just a little bit. So just by lowering the lightness a little bit, I've brought this current image to life. I mean, I can actually look down through the water in order to be able to see this ledge of a manatee in Florida. And I hit save next. So remember tungsten lighting, and when you took pictures and fluorescent lighting, and it would create a yellow cast to your images, and you got them back from the lab and they didn't look so good? Well, we can fix those ones as well because it's color. Okay, so that's with digital settings. But because we've got a different algorithm within our faded printer slide, this is a current photograph of my daughter from 2008. And I'm selecting the middle image. I'm just going to add a smidge more lightness to that. And that terrible cast, and this is not an old picture to fix. This is a lighting problem. So I'm able to fix this image, and I hit save. This again is an old photo of an old flapper. By adding just a little bit of contrast to this, I'm able to make it come to life. So I showed you the crop recalculate with the stamp. This is actually a 1785 document, and all this black is mold. So this is a very difficult image to fix. So what I'm able to do here is I'm going to crop to the area that's of interest to me, and easy controls. So all you need to do is to hit a little bit of lightness. It's too much. And a little bit of contrast. And then a tip or trick is I find that a little bit of blue can sometimes help these images become a little bit more legible. So this is one of Maureen's, and this was a tintype. I'm going to select a middle image. And all this noise has been increased due to the algorithm. And at this point, simply by turning off sharpening, you're able to reduce that noise. And you're able to bring the image back to life as well. So turn off the sharpening disabled. And this can happen sometimes with newsprints that are dotted, that it's being confused because of all those dots or all of this noise. So turn off the sharpening sometimes. Also within preferences, you're able to adjust the amount of sharpening that we apply. So the sharpening radius is an overall approach. How much sharpening are we doing to the entire image down to the pixel level? And then the radius, or excuse me, the sigma actually is increasing the amount of sharpening further. It's like putting gas on a fire. It's accelerating, increasing the amount of sharpening that we do with your images as well. But I've turned it off with this image. Now, the crop recalculate is very helpful with old photos as well. So this is me when I was around 6 years old in a old holiday card. And like I described before, the white is confusing the algorithm. So this was a 126 image. I'm simply going to crop it. I'm going to leave a little bit of white border around it so it's more like the 126 original. I'm going to then hit this recalculate cropped image, and I reanalyzed it based on the area that was important. And just that fast, we brought this image back to life. So hopefully, from a time perspective, I have kept perfectly to my 20 minutes. So I'm sure we'll have some time for Q&A. If there are any Q&A, Maureen, that you'd like me to address right now, let me know.
And I muted Nancy. We currently have 33 questions in the Ask a Question, so for 34. So I think we'll wait till the end. Rick, thank you. Here we are, full screen now. And now it's time for Nancy to jump in with MemoryWeb. So you've scanned all your pictures, you've improved them with VividPix. What can you do with them next? Or what can you do with all your digital imaging? Thank you so much, Rick. That was very informative. You used my favorite examples.
Good.
The stamp one especially.
Awesome.
I just love that one. All right, Nancy.
All right, I will share my screen now. So fingers crossed, it will work just perfectly. Okay.
Oh, this is always the tricky part. Getting that up on the screen.
Okay.
And it worked just perfectly at 2:55.
Okay, here we go.
There we go.
All good?
Yeah, here we are.
The only problem is it is not allowing me to access it.
Try it again, Nancy. You might have to exit out and then come back in. Sometimes I have to do that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people on today.
Let's go to.
Bear with us.
We did try it out and it was all working perfectly. Okay.
Better than Zoom.
Yes, definitely better than Zoom.
Did you see the little close this window? It should be there. It worked just fine.
See that? It is. Okay.
Because it's muted out, which usually means you haven't hovered over it to click the get rid of that window.
Okay.
So try that again.
Okay, I'm still.
Worst comes to worst, you share it with me on Google Drive.
It's true. I did. So.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
So worst comes to worst, you can execute it for me. There's always a plan B. You have to be ready.
Yeah, we always have a plan B.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Okay, share it with me. Ask the expert.
Should be just a moment, folks.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that to you, Nancy, because it should work. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and Nancy, you'll talk me through it.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll tell you when to advance.
Can you see that? So there's a thing here where I have to close the message.
I do see the PowerPoint.
Okay. So I'm going to go to present.
Yes, exactly.
So you should just be seeing one slide on the screen. Is that correct?
That's what I see. How about you, Rick?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. All right,
Perfect.
thank you. Thank you.
All right,
everyone.
talk me through it, Nancy.
I will talk you through it. So I have a slide deck that is going to give you a little bit of information and some tips about MemoryWeb. And then we'll also have some live demos. Oh, we can go back one.
I know. I don't know what it's doing. It's decided to have a mind of its own. I'm not touching the mouse.
Okay.
There we go.
Here we go. We go to the next one. Okay. So for anyone who
hold on. It's something I'm doing. It's me being an idiot. There we go.
Okay. So what is MemoryWeb? For anybody who isn't familiar with MemoryWeb, before I start into some of the pro tips, figure just give you a little bit of background on us. So MemoryWeb is a photo organizer and a metadata manager, and it was built specifically for family historians. And it is available as an app, and it has cloud storage with it as well. And it also has a separate desktop tool that we'll go into in a little bit. And it helps get photos into the platform really quickly. It's available for iOS. We have a website version of the app. And as of last week, we just announced that we now have an Android version. So technically speaking, for iOS, you'd need version 11.0 and up. Android 5.0 and up. And for web, you can use multiple browsers, but really Chrome is the preferred one. It works the best with that. So if we go to the next one. So what I wanted to give you is, I know that we're going into some of the pro tips and we haven't gone into lots of just overall views and screens of what the app is, but we have a lot under the hood in the app. And we have a really robust series of YouTube videos for anybody who wants to get an overview if you're not familiar with the app that can walk you through all the key features, how to tag things and how to look at different views and all of that. And we can certainly answer questions as well. But for those of you who are at least a little bit familiar with the app or ones who want to use the app, I want to give you some pro tips on really how to use it in a way that can be the most effective for you. And it may not be obvious for either new-time users or people who haven't been using it for a while. So the areas we're going to cover are our desktop uploader tool, a special feature that we have, which is front-back photo linking, and that'll be a live demo. I'll go into facial recognition. That's an area where we get lots and lots of questions on how to use that the most effectively. I'm going to show you a demo of how to do a family tree and show you how that links live. And then we'll do some Q&A. And I think it'll be across the board for everyone if we have like 33 questions waiting for Rick and I, and Maureen too. So we can go to the next one. This is the desktop uploader. So this is a separate tool that is available for both Mac and Windows, and it works with your MemoryWeb account. What you do is you install it on your computer because so many of us have photos, or the majority of our photos even, stored on our computer or on drives that we access through our computers. MemoryWeb syncs with other places such as Google Drive and Facebook and Family Search and other places as well. But it seems that the majority of us have most of our photos installed on our desktop. And so if you put the tool on your desktop, you're able to choose folders of photos that you can bring into your account much more quickly and easily than if you just uploaded them through the website app. And another thing that's a value of it is that you can also upload RAW files and extra large TIFF files up to 5 gigabytes each using that desktop tool. It uploads all the metadata. Just as Rick was saying, that's one thing we have a lot of great crossover with. They do an amazing job in helping restore images and also adding metadata, and that can integrate by coming into MemoryWeb, and we'll read that. And if there's any additional things that as you get more information from your family, you want to add to it, you can certainly do that in our platform. That's one of the things that we do as well. One thing that we try to also do is to save as much work as we possibly can when you use the tool. So as you upload photos from the desktop tool, we're going to use your folder names, the last two, in fact, to create albums for you automatically. We're always going to preserve your original file. The desktop tool also works to download the photos with metadata, so it works in reverse as well. You can also choose specific albums to download with metadata, and then we also have an option that you can download photos, even all of your photos if you want, with tags on the front too. And this is where you can download the desktop tool at. So I've got a couple screens just to show you. You can see here I've coded it. Oh, good, it's loading. It's a little less fuzzy. You can see I tried to put a legend here together so you can see what I'm referring to. Here's a pro tip for you. So even if you've been using the uploader for a while, or if you're going to install it for the first time, really work on setting your settings and knowing what these are. So the first one here, your option to launch the app when the computer starts, that means that each time you log on or boot up your computer, the app will automatically go on in the background. And the great thing about that is if you have an upload in progress, the next time you turn on your computer, it will continue syncing. The other thing is that if you choose number 2, which is the automatically upload photos, then your photos will automatically be uploaded at the same time too, each time your computer is turned on. And the one caution I would tell you is that if you don't tend to use one folder as a place to put photos temporarily until you organize them, you may not want to have that automatically toggled, just because the desktop tool will look for all the folders that have already been chosen to be uploaded each time it logs on. So if you have a lot of those already on there, you may not want the uploader to look at those again and try to upload them again. The third option here is to ask for the location on each download. So when you choose to download photos, you can either have, you can see where the arrow points to, a predetermined location that all of your photos would go to. And they're going to always come out with a group structure of MemoryWeb and then albums, and then it'll break it down into your individual albums. But you can have a designated path for those to go to each time. If you don't want that to happen, you can choose the option to ask you each time you download photos. Number 4 is the skip the similarity check. And right now that is on default for our tool, because we are actually working on a really great new way of determining duplicates. And so that's something we're going to be rolling out in the next few weeks. But you can turn that off or on and either skip the similarity check, or as your photos are uploaded, we can look for duplicates. And also, one thing you can look at in this area too is make sure you always look at your history. This will give you the full history of anything that you've uploaded or downloaded. And if you click into each one of those areas, like the upload in progress there, it'll tell you the status of individual files that you have in there, so you can see what happened. Did they upload? Was there any problem? Was it a duplicate? And you can click on it and even look at the image to see if it truly was a duplicate. So we can go into the next one here. Other direction. Thank you, Maureen. And then here's another pro tip, the download on downloads. So if you ever want to download all of your photos from your MemoryWeb account, you can see up at the top on number 1, there's the area there that will show all photos. In this demo account, there's almost 2,400 photos. And if I click on number 1, I can download them all from there, and that will go to my desktop to wherever I choose to have them. Or I can just choose specific albums. Maybe I need some photos for a special event or an occasion, so I can decide which album or albums I want to download and have access to the photos. Number 3 shows that you could search by name. If you know what the name of the album is or a couple of the words in it, you could start typing that in. It'll give you a list of matches. By the number 2, where it says order by, you can also sort your view alphabetically, the last album that was created, lots of different ways, just so that if you have hundreds and hundreds of albums, which I tend to do, you'd be able to find things really quickly here. Number 4 is showing you where you could download an individual album from. And number 5 is showing you that if you click on the arrow there, you get the option to download photos with visible tags. Your photos are always going to have metadata inside, but you can choose to have the actual metadata underneath the photo as well, if that's something that's helpful, if you want to be able to display it for family members who maybe don't have access to be able to read metadata anyway. And if we go to the next slide, I can show you an example of what that looks like. So this is an exported photo that has tags on there. And you would want to make sure that if you do choose to export with tags, that inside your MemoryWeb app, whether it's the Android app or the website version or iOS, you would go into your settings and make sure that that function is enabled before you download. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so front back photo linking. All right, this is going to be the live demo. I'll see if we can get this one to work here. And I will share my screen. See.
So I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. And Chrome tab. Okay, can you see this?
No. Oh.
Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay,
Yay,
good.
success.
Yeah, the Google Doc's not working, but at least the app is working. That's good. So you can see here, I have the application open. And along the top, there's different ways to look at your photos. There's photos, albums, people, locations, and then we have help under our FAQs. Just so that I can show you quickly the front back photo linking, since I know we have limited time, I've already opened up an album here. And I have photos that are designated for my demo. If you wanted just to see the regular albums, you can see that here. And you can search really quickly and find anything you are looking for. in our open search. So now we are back here to our demo. So I want to show you one of the really cool features that we have in the app, and that's the ability to take a photo like this one here that has a front side and a back side that has also been scanned in because it has a lot of good detail. And even if you already have this information put in the photo metadata as tags, it's really cool to be able to show your ancestor's handwriting or a special note that's written on there as well. So if I click on View Photo here, it's going to open up the information here. And you can see that to the right. We have the people, we have a caption, the date, which is not the right date. And we could change that to be a specific date, or it could be just a general date like, Maureen, I'm going to guess you know what date this is.
About 1900.
There we go. So we could change that, and then a location and other text as well.
It's Prospect Park, Brooklyn.
Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. I will change that later on then. I was guessing. So if I wanted to actually connect the front of this photo with the back that has been scanned in, you can see here's the back side. This is one of Maureen's photos, and I love it just because you can see the family dispute here, and somebody's getting a little bit salty about somebody's opinion on who somebody is or is not.
They don't even know who their father is. They're arguing over who their father is, Nancy.
It's great. I love it. So pieces of family history like this just delight me.
Yeah, it's not my family. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a great example though. So if I wanted to link the front and the back of that photo so that I didn't have to just go back and forth in here, I could go into edit tags, and you can see here, this is also a place that on an individual photo, you could edit the information. You can edit everything in bulk as well for multiple photos at a time. But for front back photo linking, that's an individual process. So you can see here, it says front back photo, and I'm going to go to add. And then in the corner here, you see that we have this kind of open queue where it has the front one designated, and now we need to add the back. And so I'm going to scroll right over here to the photo that I know is the back side of it. And you can see now we've added the back photo here, and I'm going to click Connect Photos. Okay, now it doesn't look like anything happened, but if you click back into here, you can see we now have this little camera icon. And if I were to click on this, it now flips back and forth. And in our metadata, we have the image that is related to captured as well. So if you take this photo outside of MemoryWeb, you will have the information inside it, that all these tags that are added, but then also what the related image is as well. So that is the demo of the front back photo linking. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Maureen to open up the presentation again, if you don't mind assisting me.
I do not mind.
Okay, thank you.
And we popped up right where we should be.
Okay, great.
Awesome. At least something worked. Facial recognition.
Okay, facial recognition is an area where it's a really powerful tool, and we get lots of really good questions about how to use this. And some of it may be obvious and some of it may not. And it also, some of this might even be just general good information that could serve you in any platform that has facial recognition that you're using. But for specifically MemoryWeb, the thing that I would tell you, just general background, is it works like you would expect facial recognition to. We scan the faces in your photos. So if a photo has multiple faces, we're scanning all of them. And then the app is going to group those faces into groups of matched faces for any one person. And you are going to be presented those so that you can tag the images to the correct name. And if for some reason any of the images that they've matched are incorrect, you can deselect the images that don't match in that grouping. That's really easy to do. Something to know is that you may have several groupings of a person at the start. It's going to go through, and sometimes you have a really great angle on a person, and sometimes we've all seen the shots where it's, you know, just the side view and somebody's ear, and it thinks it might be somebody, but it's not quite sure. So you're going to have several groupings if you have a lot of photos of one person at the start. It might also ask you to, the groups might be sorted at key stages in life. You know, the 5-year-old photos might look different from the 50-year-old photos. And you would want to identify the person at those different stages. But the really great thing is that once you have about 3 to 5 good examples, auto tagging is going to begin for you. So you no longer have to go in and tag them. It won't even present them as options to you. It's just going to tag these faces because it is a very, very, very high certainty that it's the right person. So if we go to the next slide. This is a really important tip. So one thing to know is that you should skip the skip. So here's an example of photos where it has the person grouped. You see, you can say it says tag person, and then all the way to the right it says skip. Now, if this is somebody you didn't know on your account, but is somebody you might in the future want to identify, don't skip them, because once you skip them, it's no longer going to be looking for that person's face, or at least faces that match that grouping of that person. And what you can do instead is actually label those. So put a first name of unknown, and then for the last name, put either person or male or female or infant, anything that helps you kind of separate another variable that helps you know and find people more quickly. And then add a unique number or an alpha character or something that helps you know that this is a specific person, even though you don't know them. So for example, unknown male 12. And the reason why you want to do that is because facial recognition will keep adding your tag to photos of the unknown. So if this is a relative that you maybe have 20 photos of and you just don't know who they are yet, let facial recognition do the work for you and start identifying them for you. And then you can fill in the blanks and change the details from unknown person to Joe Smith later on. We can go to the next one. Okay, and here's another live demo. And I'm going to show you really quickly, if I can switch on over here. I am going to share. Okay, so we're going to get out of this and pardon me. And everyone can see my screen now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So one of the fun things that you can do is you can actually add family connections to people when you're in the profile. So I'm using the search feature again to find my example to show you here. So I'm going to have my person, Theodore Cleaver, here. And you can see here's his profile page and all his photos, all his albums, all his locations are here. And I could add his birthday. And if I wanted to add his family, I would be able to do that right here. And you can see in this area now, it's giving me the opportunity to connect his parents. And that's my pro tip for you is when you have an important contact in your account, make sure you add their mother and father or whatever information of their mother and father that you have, or even one or the other, because it is actually a very powerful tool because we will start building the trees for you automatically. So you can see here, I now have Ward Cleaver as his father that I'm going to add. Pardon me. I'm going to look for June now, his mother. And I'm going to save that. And now we've added his mom and dad. And because Wally Cleaver was already connected to Ward and June, he is now on there as a sibling. Apologize for my dry throat here. But that's a couple of the pro tip things I wanted to show you about MemoryWeb to give you some expertise on how to use the platform to your greatest advantage.
Okay, well, we've heard from Rick about Vivid-Pix Restore and from Nancy about MemoryWeb. I just want to share, we have 45 questions. So don't forget to vote on those questions. And I'm going to share my presentation, share your screen, application window. Hopefully you can see this. It was tricky.
I can see it.
So I want to thank you for, and you can't, how that's interesting. It gives you all the slides instead of just the one. So I want to thank you very much for joining us for Ask the Experts. And I have a very special offer for all of you in attendance, for everyone that signed up. We know it's the holidays. Nobody wants to ship anything. Nothing's arriving anyway. I'm still waiting for something from November 22nd, which is a miracle if it'll get here at all. But you don't have to actually ship anything. Here's a wonderful special for you. It is a package. We call it the Organize and Restore bundle. It's Vivid-Pix Restore, the Digital Photo Organizing and MemoryWeb 3-part masterclass, and MemoryWeb for 6 months.
Hey, Maureen.
Yes?
We are still seeing the slide that has Nancy in my picture, not
Oh, great.
image 2.
Let's try this one then. I don't know why that is. Come on, open up. Weird. How's that? Now you should be able to see the other one. Yes. So we have this wonderful bundle for you called the Organize and Restore bundle. Vivid-Pix Restore has been, people have said that it's actually brilliant and modern magic. And I believe that some of the things that I've been able to do with Restore has turned my photographs from blah to gorgeous with a click of the mouse. It usually sells for $49.99. The 3-part masterclass, which teaches you how to do MemoryWeb and digital photo organizing, also usually sells for $49.99. And MemoryWeb for 6 months, a 6-month subscription, is also usually $49.99. For all of you that have attended until December 23rd, this special is $99 instead of what the full price would be. MemoryWeb is the photo organizer created for genealogists by genealogists, and Vivid-Pix Restore. People comment on the photographs I share all the time and talk about how it's just brilliant. We call it the Vivid-Pix fix, right, Rick?
Absolutely.
So I will share a link to this in the chat in just a minute. And I'm going to actually stop sharing. Whoops. Interesting. There we go. We're back on the screen. We have 47 questions. There's a lot of interest in this. I am so happy that all of you came for this. There's 307 people live right now, guys. And this means that these Ask the Experts were a good thing to do. And I'm looking forward to doing more of them and even doing some maybe in-depth pro tips with both of you at some point. But let's get to the questions. Nancy, can you see the questions?
I can.
Okay. So if you could manage this for me for just a second while I get the link I need that I don't have.
Okay. So you'd like me to go ahead and read the top one?
If you can read the question.
Okay. So the top one is, my question is, should I keep all Vivid-Pix versions of each picture I touch up? Which versions would be best to keep if I decide to delete any?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So in the preferences area, you are able to establish whether you're saving a TIFF file, a high resolution JPEG, or a sharing resolution JPEG. So if you're bringing in a TIFF, you'll want to save that fixed high resolution TIFF at a minimum. If you're bringing in a JPEG file, you'll definitely want to save the high resolution JPEG. So those are the two that you always want to keep. The sharing resolution, so those are SHR is in the file name. Those are lower resolution images. We've created those to make it easy to email and to upload into the cloud and different things. So those would be the first ones to cut. And then we do have the ability to convert a JPEG to a TIFF. And that would be a setting that you'd be making in preferences. So minimum TIFF to TIFF, JPEG to high resolution JPEG.
That's great. Okay.
Can you reorder the way photos are displayed on MemoryWeb after they are uploaded and stored in an album?
So that is a great question, Kenneth. Unfortunately, at the moment, the answer is no. However, our top priority for 2021, the beginning of the year, is to renovate our album and sharing and collaboration features. So that is something that we definitely plan to build into it.
Okay, my question is, should I, oh no, we got that one. If photos are uploaded to MemoryWeb with metadata, does all that metadata stay intact? Ooh, that's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, so yes, the shorter answer is yes, it always stays intact. You will always be able to see all the information. We will use some of the information depending on where it was actually stored in the metadata fields. If it's in the ones that are the most commonly used for like a date or a location or other things, we will populate that into that main view that I showed you where you saw the tagged people and dates and location. Otherwise, underneath the area that we were looking at, there's a link that says more information, and then you will be able to see all of the metadata, including camera information, all the stuff that may not be so interesting, but it'll have everything that's there. And when you take the photo out, all the information that was there originally will be intact unless you make a change to it. If you had a scanned photo and it came in with the wrong date, which was the scan date, and then you put in the correct date of the image, then you'll have that now in the data field, the metadata field for date.
Okay. How quickly can I find photos that I just uploaded? Pretty much like that.
Remember? Yeah, it's really quickly. You can look at it. You can do an open search. But one of the easiest ways to find things is like I just uploaded 1,700 slides that we had digitized for my mom. And if I wanted to find the ones, I can look by the albums that were uploaded because I use the desktop tool. But I can also just go into the photo page and then sort by date added, descending, and all the most recent photos will be right there.
Can photos be in multiple albums?
Yes, there's no limitation whatsoever.
Actually, Nancy, you and I recommend that one of the best practices is to actually use multiple albums, use a separate album for each person even, so that you can find the images quickly. Where can I find detailed instruction on using MemoryWeb? I believe you mentioned that, Nancy, that you have lots of YouTube videos to help people. And Rick, we have a question for you. So this is actually a webinar I have given, and I will be giving again this year. So if you are on my mailing list, my newsletter list, you will be the first to know about this. It is a webinar I gave called Two Tools to Help You Enhance and Restore Your Images. So would you compare VividPix with the image enhancement software designed for genealogists offered by MyHeritage?
Sure. It's a similar but different approach. So MyHeritage is using artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to improve an image. So artificial intelligence is that you have insights into things that have gone wrong. And that is artificial intelligence. The machine learning portion of it is based on scanning and looking at a whole bunch of images. It's making changes on how it is affecting an image within the AI. So I've looked at 1 million photos. This is what I've learned about different types of photos. I'm going to apply that insight into fixing an image. So that's essentially what MyHeritage does. What we VividPix do is truly color science. So we look at an image and, for instance, your old prints, they have faded red. And that's because the red channel is more prevalent within the image, either based on the dye fade or the paper. And the blues and the greens have been reduced. We push in all those colors that are missing in order to create proper color balance and white balance in order to allow the image to be the way that it should. So when I make the statement that Randy is literally one of the best image scientists in the world, that's really what we're doing. We are bringing the image back to life. And then with the documents perspective, we're seeing the definitions around the line and the white contrast to white or a different color. And that's what we're bringing out.
I'm going to show you I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into this example that I have. So you should be able to see this in a minute. Here we are. Click to close message. So this is one of my pictures, and you can see how faded and shifted the color was. Ran it through Vivid-Pix Restore and got a beautiful, you can even see the green in the Christmas tree. And then I also ran it through the enhancement feature at MyHeritage just for a further tweak. You can use these tools, you can combine them to really do spectacular things with your photos. So I just thought you want to see that. I'm trying to cancel this out just to jump in.
Was that you?
Yes. On my little red telephone. I do remember that carpet.
and then the last point I would make is that we're not a subscription. You buy our software once, right. We give free updates. You don't have to continue to be part of any subscription offer like a MyHeritage.
I missed a question up at the top. Do you plan to make MemoryWeb sync with Family Tree Maker?
We're open to syncing with really any source that makes sense to sync with. And I don't know that right now that it's been an opportunity to, but if Family Tree Maker is willing to sync, or if you ask the question and we start talking about it, we would love to be able to pull in your photos and information from all the sources that make sense, especially in the genealogy world. We want to save you work.
So can you bulk edit details in MemoryWeb?
Yes, very easily. You would go into our photos area or albums. There's other places you can do it as well, but any place that you see multiple photos, just click on the ones that you want to tag with all the same information. A tray will appear at the bottom of the screen. You'll see the details that are already there, and then you'll be able to either add or amend or do what you would like to it right.
How does facial recognition tagging work? Any tips or best practices?
I think that one probably was covered in the
presentation. It's best to have more, like 3 to 5 images. If I upload the same photo from different places, will MemoryWeb save the highest quality photo?
That's a good question. So right now it's the first one that comes in. However, we have a update to our upload process coming in the next few weeks. And not only is it going to give you more control over that, it's going to give you a much greater insight into not just the file type, but also the metadata to let you choose. So that is in the testing phases right now, but I'm really excited to roll that out soon.
So someone owns Vivid-Pix and didn't know that it did slides. They'd like a demo, but I actually think that might be something we should demo at another time, Rick, unless you have a slide ready to go. And we had so many trouble with that.
It's actually just a quick answer.
Sure.
So we're indifferent of the digital form. So it can be a scanned print or a scanned slide, and we're just saying a digital image. So the same as you would have a scanned negative, a scanned print or a slide, just bring it up the exact same way. So that's easy. And then from a negative perspective is that if you invert a negative to a positive, we can fix that as well. So slides, prints, any digital image.
So this is a question for me. Which is they understand that TIFF is a good storage format. Is 1200 DPI better than 600 DPI? And is there a fast scanner that you can recommend? Unfortunately, it does take time to scan at that resolution. It's because the scanner is capturing all the image information as it goes. So it does take time. 1200 is the Library of Congress recommendation. 600 is what their recommendation was a couple of years ago. If you have a really small picture, then you definitely want to scan that at 1200 DPI. How does this software compare to Photoshop or Lightroom? I believe this is a question for you, Rick. Is it a substitute, a simpler way of doing things, or a companion? And how would I decide which to use?
Yeah, actually, I think it's an answer. It's a question for me, and Nancy could probably address it as well. So from a photo improvement standpoint, Photoshop and Lightrooms are great software, but you're needing to understand image improvement. You're needing to understand the layers and curves and the like in order to be able to improve an image. And that's really what we've built, is artificial intelligence on a different way than MyHeritage and other people do. That's why we have 2 patents in order to be able to improve images. So fast and easy and affordable. Where I would throw this over to Nancy is a lot of people use Photoshop and Lightroom in order to image organize.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe over to Nancy.
Yeah, no, thanks, Rick. And you're spot on. I think that we probably approach it from the same way, both our companies, where you're simplifying the ability to modify the images. And for people who it gets overwhelming, like there was a great tools, but there's a lot of features to be able to use that really effectively and figure it out. The same with metadata. It's great because it has every single metadata field, but you don't always know exactly which field is the right one to use when you're trying to add information. And you want to make sure that if you're adding a date or you're tagging people or doing other things, adding details, you want to make sure that that information is going to transfer easily into other platforms that read metadata, because not every single one reads every piece like Lightroom does or the Adobe products. So what we do is we just let you tag things as you naturally would, just by people or dates or locations. And then we translate that for you on the back end into those specific fields that they most align with. So we don't want you to have to worry about what each field is called, because there are thousands of them and we've looked at them. So just tag people as you naturally would, and we'll take care of the hard work to create metadata for you.
This is for you, Rick. When you say save next, where do the corrected photos get saved to, and how do you get them back?
Yep. So let's say that you have your photos in your pictures folder. Within your pictures folder, you've got different folders. When we save an image, we're automatically putting them in a subfolder of where you pulled the image from. And that's part of our organization, which again can fit really well into what MemoryWeb does. This is to combine the album names. So you're able to create albums in VividPix and then bring those into MemoryWeb. Then 2 is, if you don't want to create a second folder with those things, just delete in our software. It says output folder. Delete the word Vivid in there, and it will put the fixed pics and documents directly into the same folder as the original.
Can photos only be downloaded as an album in the desktop uploader app, or is there a function to download a single photo? Nancy, I can answer this one because that's what I've been doing. I actually am finding that searching for things in MemoryWeb is so easy and I've been having some problems, the technical issues with my computer again. So I download it from MemoryWeb. I just download it without the tags, and then I use that image, and it's great. So I just download a single image at a time. Oops.
Oh, you still there? Oh, there you are.
I am, but we had a little glitch. Somebody said they tried downloading a photo with tags on the front, but they didn't see them. What happened? I will tell you that one of the reasons I like working with Rick and Nancy on these types of presentations is that we all take customer service seriously. So the person, Nancy, you actually uploaded this question from a viewer, but if you have a question about any of our products, the digital photo organizing or anything that I do, MemoryWeb or VividPix, we all answer your questions. We might not get to it that very day, but we do try to stay on top of it. So what is the answer to this one, Nancy, if they tried downloading a photo with tags and it didn't work?
So this was somebody I had somebody that I troubleshot this with recently too. And what happened is that just as when I was in the presentation earlier, reminding people to make sure that they have their settings enabled, you need to make sure that in your account, your actual MemoryWeb account on iOS, Android, or the website, there is an area for settings, and there's also a separate area for export settings. So make sure you have it enabled so that when you do export with the tags, that those are visible. And you can choose the tags as well from there as well.
A question for me, which is, how would I get an image from a tintype? Oh, there, I keep going back and forth. That's so weird. That's so weird. I scan my tintypes and then I run them through VividPix to enhance them. If they're flaking, however, I photograph them with my, usually my cell phone, which is a good cell phone, and then I run it through VividPix to improve it. I'm not sure MemoryWeb will hold all my photos. That was a question that somebody asked me today. You get a lot of storage with your MemoryWeb account.
You do. It's a terabyte of storage, and we have had many people over the years thinking that they were going to fill it up just because they have photos in lots of different places, which is honestly one of the reasons why we built it. We're in the same scenario. But once you actually upload everything, you've had nobody even come close to using even half of it. So it holds up to 500,000 plus photos, give or take how big they are.
Yeah, that would be a super user for sure. I think, Rick, you answered this one in the presentation, which is the Zoom transcribe, which is how you can edit one of those newspaper pictures that are a folded page where the text is on the border of the page. You showed that in the presentation. There will be a replay of this. Do you have anything to add with that?
Yeah, just if there's an area that's most important to you that is most degraded, simply crop into that area and then improve that area to be able to read it better.
Somebody asked, is there a suggested tutorial for scanning photos in terms of resolution? In the digital photo organizing 3-part course, which is part of the Restore and Organize bundle, we do cover scanning and negatives and all of that. Actually, pretty good. Somebody asked Nancy about uploading images into MemoryWeb that are sideways. Are you going to add some editing? Is there a way to rotate them?
We are. In the iOS app, there is the ability to physically rotate them. We will be rolling that out at the beginning of 2021. I don't have an exact date, but we'll have that in the web and Android app very soon as well.
I have a lot of photos stored in my family tree software, not in any other folder. Is there a problem using the photos in my family tree maker with VividPix? It's a digital file.
Well, you need to get the images.
You have to download
them. Right. You have to have them on your computer, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. So we don't integrate with, similar to Nancy's question. Happy to integrate with. Let's have conversation. And all you need is that digital file.
Can you put unlimited tags on a picture? Nancy, let's just go. Yes.
Oh, yeah, and Rick too.
Yeah, and Rick too. Yes. And Rick, can you blur the background so the main image is clearer?
No.
No, not yet. When you crop an area within a pic or document and correct it, can you then add the corrected one back into the original image?
Yeah. So what I'm interpreting the question to be is, for instance, on the stamp, if I fixed that stamp, can I apply that same fix to the rest of the image? And the answer is yes. I do that a lot with photographs. So imagine, if you will, the most important part is the subject matter is people within that photograph. I fix it first for the people, and then I reset the crop, and then that fix is applied to the rest of the image. It's a great question.
How does MemoryWeb compare to file storage sites such as Dropbox or OneDrive? Is there a substitute or a companion?
So when it comes to Dropbox is a great tool. It holds lots of photos and you can organize things by albums. It's not as good when it comes to metadata and making that something that you can modify dates with, approximate dates. It really lacks the functionality in terms of being able to add and correct information like you would in a true metadata editor. And when it comes to a file or a companion, I'm not sure what a companion to that would be. They're
different in some ways. It's different. I think they're different. With my Mac and photos, I can see all of my photos on the desktop, laptop, and phone. How does that work with MemoryWeb? I have an iPhone. I have an iMac. I have the MemoryWeb app on my phone, and it seamlessly links with what I have in the web version, which is pretty cool, Nancy. Right? That's how it's built.
Yes, yeah. You have lots of different places you can look at it.
I did work with metadata in Picasa. Will it come over?
We'll have to test it out. In theory, it should be at least in the more information. It just depends on what would actually map into the fields. If you have a sample file, I would love to try it out.
And what about you, Rick?
Yeah, we're going to bring in the metadata. We're not going to strip any of the metadata that came with it. So if it's in there, it's going to stay there. And then we're adding to it.
Can MemoryWeb tags display different fonts?
No, but that's an interesting question.
That's a nice idea, actually.
It is.
All right. I think we're mostly at the end of the questions. If there is a question that we did not answer because we had 51 of them, and there's a lot on this list, we will definitely there is no handout for this presentation. But again, unless, Nancy, do you see anything in here? Rick, anything in here you want to answer?
Yeah, I see one here. Does the company copyright our images? Do we retain ownership? Do we retain privacy, etc.? So from VividPix perspective, we're software that's sitting on your computer. So we actually never really see your pictures. And so you always keep ownership completely.
A lot of Family Tree Maker. Can you undo a skip that you might have already done before you knew this pro tip? Nancy, that skip.
Oh, on people? Unfortunately, no. You cannot. Hopefully you have other photos though, where if it was just a particular group of a person, it may not completely eliminate them out of it. But there also may be some workarounds too. So if you have a specific example of what you've done, you can reach out at contact@memoryweb.me and send me more information, and we'll see if we can troubleshoot it.
So if I'm using VividPix on a tintype, I would first use another program to digitize the tintype. Right, you have to actually have a digital file to actually use it into VividPix, and then pull the digital file in. That's exactly how it works. You have to have a digital file. All right, there is a replay. You will get an email from me momentarily. And again, we do have a special offer for all of you in attendance and everyone who registered. It's our holiday special. It's the Organize and Restore bundle, which includes 6 months of MemoryWeb, which you can then renew if that's what you want. Vivid-Pix Restore, and Nancy and my course, Digital Photo Organizing, a 3-part course. It is for $99 instead of $149. So it's like getting something for free. If you already have one of the items, but not the other two, one of the things I recommend, you can buy them separately if you'd like to, but it's the holidays. We are more than happy to make that third item a gift to someone else for you from that $99 bundle. Share the family history discoveries. Thank you all very much for joining us and for bearing with our technical difficulties and me popping in and out like, I don't know. I don't know why that was happening. But thank you so much. If you have any other questions for us, I believe you have my email, photo detective, type today, at MaureenTaylor.com. And send me some ideas. Yes, there will definitely be a replay. You'll get a link in a while. It takes a couple of hours for it to process. So thank you.
Merry holidays. Stay